But that does say it all, doesn't it? Certainly some of these videos that come out are just touching, and it's so great that we have this technology now that we can share these things that have been put out there so well. I just wanted to bring up, being Thanksgiving, and of course Matt last week, he did such a good job with his message, and I felt, wow, how do we top that? So we're going to do a Thanksgiving 2.0 today a little bit, and for, I guess, if you know me well or even a little, you know I've got a lot of history, and it's the things that especially getting older and seeing things that remind us of our past is really a passion for me. And one thing I wanted to especially touch on is we could do a whole service, I'm sure, on just going around the room and having people share the experiences that you had at Thanksgiving Day with your families. Remember back home again, and I'm sure every one of us has something special that you could share. And maybe one of these times we can do that. I know Rob, he used to like to bring up people and have people share their experiences. And that, how great was that? Because some of them are funny and some of them sad. And at the same time, if you can think about some of the good times that Thanksgiving brings us. Certainly, I think about things. My dad, he wanted to get up and we would work wood. We'd go up into the mountains. He'd have a log picked out, and we'd cut that log up and haul it down on the pickup truck and cut it up. And by that time, we were good and hungry for some Thanksgiving dinner. The ladies would be in there busy while we were working up the wood. So that, for me, that was something that really brings back memories for me. And as far as the holiday itself goes, it's one like none others. When you think about it, they really can't ruin Thanksgiving too much with fake stuff out there, like a Santa Claus or an Easter Bunny or like that. Thanksgiving is really a time when, I guess, Tom Turkey, you can say something about that. But at the same token, we think about giving thanks, and even people who might not even believe in the Lord and the blessings that God gives us, people have things to be thankful for living in a country with freedoms that we have without those. I think about let's talk about the Pilgrims a little bit. Think about that. 1620. A group, actually there was two boats, the Mayflower, and I forget the name of the other one, but they came over. One didn't make it. The Mayflower comes in. They actually started out in Plymouth in England, and then they came over, and then they named where they landed. They named that Plymouth. Isn't that kind of a thing where you well, gee, I didn't know that. I didn't know that before. But so I guess that was something that they thought about, kind of like a homecoming for them. The hardships that they suffered through. This country was so raw, and these were the first people to come here, and at least the settlers. There were other people here already. The Spanish they'd settled in St. Augustine, but this was the first English colony, and they endured such hardship that first year. But in 1621, the year after, half of them didn't make it through that first winter. So you were thinking, wow, we've got nothing to be thankful for. How can we possibly keep going on? But yet the Indians, they had this special connection for and compassion for these poor, pitiful white people that didn't have a clue how to do anything the natural way. And the Indians, of course, they have been here for thousands of years already, so they have a pretty good handle on how to live in this really hostile kind of territory. So they took the compassion. They said, okay, well, listen, we're going to share some of what we have with you. And they did, and that's what you heard about the first Thanksgiving, supposedly in 1621, there in the Plymouth colony in Massachusetts. So, okay, so fast forward to 1863. So we're talking 200 years after this amazing feast that the Indians kind of shared with the settlers. 1863. Well, that's the Civil War. Well, Abraham Lincoln, he decides, you know, that we need a celebration here. We need to give thanks for what we have. I mean, right in the middle of the Civil War, Abe Lincoln, he thought enough to make a national holiday out of Thanksgiving, and it has been ever since. When you think about it, so 200 years after, almost to the day, after the first Thanksgiving, the country took time in the middle of war to give thanks. You have to think, wow, that was a stretch. I mean, what have they got to be thankful for? Dying and the loss of family and everything. But Abe Lincoln thought enough to give it real meaning that we have to give thanks for what we have and the sacrifices that are given for what we have. So then that's great to think about our history, but I was thinking too about the very, very first Thanksgiving meal, and what might you think that would be? How about the feeding of the 5,000? When you think about it, so we're talking, okay, another 2,000 years back, Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount, he, that wonderful story about a little boy with the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, the thing that 5,000 families had come out to hear Jesus. Just think of that. He had just started his ministry, and here he had gathered this enormous crowd for this time that would have been like a rock concert type of thing, just a total sellout, where you have to wonder how they even heard him, but yet he was able to feed this gathering just with a miracle. This was the things that they had come out to see, him performing these things, and like I said, can you imagine their amazement? And they saw how Jesus had broke the bread and the fishes, and then ended up with 12 baskets of leftovers on top of that. What's the chances? Can you imagine the excitement that must have, the people, you know, like, Albert, did you see that? Can you imagine? And we're full. Now, I must say that the bread wasn't really bread, it was more like crackers. Back in the day, of course, they didn't have bread like we have, so it was matzah, which was the Jewish bread. But think about that, they were full, even with the crackers and the small fishes. In any case, the most important thing was the message that Jesus gave to them. And that was the Beatitudes. Now, sometimes when you say Beatitudes, like people glaze over, like especially if you're not too familiar with especially the writings and the works of Jesus. Beatitudes, well, that's a weird word to begin with. When you think about it, there is only one beatitude in the dictionary, and there's not anything else related to it except for the Sermon on the Mount, the eight blessings that Jesus gave to the 5,000 there on the Sermon of the Mount. At the Sermon of the Mount, he gave these blessings. They'd already had the 10 Commandments. That much they knew, and of course, with Jesus coming, that changed everything. And he wanted them to know that, hey, listen, it's not going to be business as usual, because I'm telling you that you can have blessing without being persecuted, without being bullied and what have you. So in Matthew chapter 5, verses 2 to 12. I want to read them, and I think Crystal has brought them up. So I'm going to read them, and just listen to them. Just think about being on this hillside and listening to this amazing man who has come to save you from first of all, from sin, and also from the suppression that the government was giving them. They were actually looking for a Messiah, and for those that believed him, how special! You're looking again, like I said, it would be, just like a famous person, a movie star, a rock star, what have you, coming, and how you're listening to these words. And blessing number 1 was, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." So these are things that must have really touched home with these people, because Jesus was able to give these blessings to the people because he was the messenger from God. This is what they wanted to hear. And these are the blessings that we still have today. And the Beatitudes, first of all, again, the word was kind of strange. I had to even look it up. I go, what is a beatitude? Is that like, okay, a be attitude? That's like you're supposed to be something like that? Well, the word, actually, if you get down to it, it's Latin. Beati means blessing or happy. So these are things which God, Jesus, in the shape of man, but sharing the heavenly wisdom that he had, he was giving blessing and happiness to these people. He was giving these people hope. And this is what this was what the Thanksgiving was. And of course, after that, he had that feast, the feeding of the 5,000. How much that must have really struck home to these people, how took his message to heart, because he capped it off with an ultimate Thanksgiving. So they went away, they were fed both spiritually and physically, and that's what Thanksgiving is all about, to be fed, and not just with turkey. I mean, and here's another little factoid that you might think about come din time on Thanksgiving Day. Ben Franklin, he put in his choice for the national bird. You would think, okay, well, the national bird. Well, of course, it was the eagle, right? The bald eagle. Well, that wasn't his idea. It was what? The wild turkey. The wild turkey was going to be our national bird, according to Benjamin Franklin. Well, I guess, I don't know. Has anybody actually even had wild turkey? Outside of the kind in the bottle, we don't go there. But I don't know of anybody. I asked this. Have you ever? I know people that shoot them, but do they eat them? I don't know. I guess they do. I would imagine. But so anyway, we're enjoying the feast of the turkey and the domesticated version. So I don't think we have to worry about the gamey or whatever. But we certainly we think about the blessing of the feast that we kind of celebrate of the colonials and what have you. But more importantly, we think about the blessing end of this, that the blessings or what we're actually thankful for. And as you go around the table, just think about that. Sometimes people open up. Well, what are you thankful for? What has blessed you? And so let's think about that in the big picture of Thanksgiving. And so, if you're aware of one of probably the best known movies around is White Christmas, which is of course Bing Crosby. You know, he was in his finest, and that with the singing White Christmas and what have you. But one of my favorite songs, and I've sang it here before, but I wanted to sing it again. Count Your Blessings. So, he did such a wonderful job on that, and I'd like to leave you with that. If you give me a minute to bring it up, and I'd like to share that. Might take a minute. Any other time I would have had this right ready. A wonderful version of this.
Tractor Supply can help you answer the call.
And a little commercial break. Can't go without that. When I'm worried and I can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of sheep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. When my bankroll is getting small, I think of when I had none at all, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. I think about a family with their nightly devotions read, and one by one I count them as they tumble into bed. If you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. Are you ever burdened with a load of care? Does the cross seem heavy you are called to bear? Count your many blessings, every doubt will fly, and you will be singing as the days go by. So amid the conflict, whether great or small, do not be discouraged. God is over all. Count your many blessings. Angels will attend and help and comfort give you till your journey's end. think about a nursery with their nighttime prayers said, and one by one I see them as they slumber in their bed. If you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. Very good. Thank you so much for listening.